Welcome to Revolutionizing Care, the podcast where we explore the ideas, technologies, and teams reshaping how healthcare is delivered. I'm Mark. Today's episode is going to be a little different because instead of talking about innovation, we're going to show you one. You're about to get an insider's look at Sherpa Care, the first EHR platform designed to unify the full spectrum of care from hospital to home and everything in between. In today's demo, the team will walk through a solution targeting functional medicine. You'll see how Sherpa Care handles ordering tests and getting results. We'll also dive into some powerful capabilities like AI documentation associated with really complicated test results. So get ready, because what you're about to see isn't just a demo, it's a vision of where healthcare is headed.
Okay. And so this is a doctor, and we're going to go right in. So what you'll see is their patients. So this is my patient list. I have patients and I have visits. I'm sorry, I was on visits. I have patients, so all of my patients. So these are all patients that I've seen. These are visits that are either coming up or I need to finish documentation on. So all of these are his visits. For this particular case, let me just go in here. I'm going to show you two things here. First, let me go in and show you orders that have been placed, right, on a patient. So this patient, Rob Roy, had orders placed here. This is for functional health. And if we want to go in and see what the order was, we can see that, it was some type of order for, this was actually for a test through Function Health, right? So we have a Function Health test here. So that's been placed. We have resulted test from Function Health, and this would be your Function Health results that come in. And as you can see, you have different results that come in. Normal HL7 processing, they give you a result, they give you a reference range for those results. And so these come from the lab, all this comes from the lab, right? So they give you the result plus their reference range. Reference range may vary based on lab itself. So these are results for that. You can click on this for a PDF of the results if you want to print it out. Let me close that one down. The next result we have here is for Inagene. Inagene does gene testing, right? And so they have different tests that you can go out and purchase, like a complete gene test, one for just women's health screening, men's health screening, cancer screening, those types of things. So this will give you a positive and a negative. And so just a caveat here, we tailored this. We tailored this as close as we could to an HL7 V2 because it has a test component, a result, and a reference range. That doesn't work so great for genes. So we're going to make some changes here so that we can, say, oh, okay, you have this gene, right? There's also a SNP that's associated with that tells you what this number is, right? That if you're positive on both those SNPs for this specific gene, one for mom, one for dad, then you're homozygous. If you're positive on one of the two, then you're heterozygous. If you're not positive on any of them, then there's no positive test. You're negative on that, right? So APO, I just took two pretty common ones, methylation, MTHFR gene, and your APOB gene, right? APOB is for cardiovascular and Alzheimer's, those types of things. So with that, it's even more convoluted because you could be positive with a 3-4, so you're heterozygous. You could be positive with a 4-4 homozygous. You could be positive with a 3-3 homozygous, right? So, but those also don't fall into a real reference range of, if I'm positive 3-3, that's really comes back as a negative. You're normal. You're a normal human being, right? If you're positive 3-4, you're heterozygous and you're out of range, right? But that's not as bad as a positive 4-4, because if you're positive 4-4, there's a whole different level that you jump up to from a health perspective, from a gene. So basically, we're going to redo some of this right here. We also get back a PDF from the gene testing company, right? And so we kind of white labeled it ourselves, but this would be a summary It's a pretty detailed report, and it goes into all the variants. So you'll see the SNP here, which will need to relate to different genes. Relates to IL-6, and it just goes through. I won't bore you with this. I can send it to you if you want, but it just goes into all this information, metabolic and cardiovascular health genes, um, different variants associated with that. It will come down. I'm going to scroll pretty quick here. Here's your APOE gene right here. Let's go down. I think it's at the bottom where uh, here we go. Recommendations, right? So this will give a recommendations. And this is where we kind of use our AI to go through this and say, hey, based on your gene test and your blood test, here's some recommendations we can give her. Obviously go to your doctor and make sure you guys are on the same page. But here's some recommendations, right? Whole food diet, Mediterranean diet, lactose management, sodium control, all this different stuff that you can do. Some of these require supplements. Some of these are lifestyle changes. Some of these you may want to, contact a health coach or whatever you want to call them these days, right? That are going to help you with some of this dietary advice. Targeted nutrition. Obviously, with MTHFR, you want to look at your homocysteine levels. So homocysteine levels, if I go back over here, you will see, I think it was under this one. So homocysteine levels, 9.3. The reference range was 11.4. So if this was over 11.4, so let's say it was 18, which actually these are my results, right? So it was over 18 at one time, which was not great, not super bad, but not great. But that's an inflammation type thing for your endothelial. Right. So knowing that and then going back and looking at your results, well, how can I fix that? Well, it's methylated B12, B6, folate, right? That's what you want to get to help lower that. And as you can see in here, I actually did lower that from 18 to 9.3 within about 6 months. So that's a positive effect of that. I said a lot on that.
Health, Seth, is we're going to have Lisa, given your genome, right? We'll get the raw results. That's one thing, we'll absolutely get from the genomic testing labs. And then we run it through our AI and we create this document. And so this document is very targeted to the individual. I didn't want you thinking this was just, hey, this is a report everybody gets. And if you have a metabolic issue, you'll run down to section 12 and read about it. No, this is specific to you. So I think even further down in here, we have like a supplement regimen, maybe.
I think so.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Here's sources that you can go through. Genetic testing kind of gives you an overall summary of all the mutations that you may have. Let's see.
But again, specific to the patient.
Other supplements. Here we go. Pro ALA, zinc, magnesium, vitamin D supplement therapy. Yep. Which vitamin 12 for methylation support, right? Because the MTHFR, vitamin D, magnesium, a lot of things that unfortunately our food system does not supply anymore, right? Because of all the agriculture going on.
We're even throwing in the rationale, like the metabolic syndrome, the very bottom of the page there. Your profile, but we're giving you the actual gene, the SNP, and given this about you, here's the recommendations. Here's what you should do. So anyhow, Rob, maybe go through an actual order.
Okay. So if I was a doctor and I want to come in here and order something on my patients, so I could go to any of my patients. I'm just going to choose, let's choose this one, I think. Go in here, I'm going to create an order. So I can go in here. Basically, the service is radiology lab. We're going to add one for gene testing and then supplements from a service perspective. And then the partners that we have, right? So we have Function Health, Monahit. I created Mona Lisa Supplement Market, Nutrigenomics, Inagene. So let's go into and do supplements. And then this is as a clinician. doing an order for a patient within the EMR, right? So
Okay. Yeah.
let's just say I need some B complex, I want some DHEA, needed some magnesium and some omega-3, right? So once I click that, I'm going to do next. And then if I wanted to make notes down here, any notes I want to make would be on the order itself, and then review the order and make sure I got them all, and then I submit it. So once it's submitted, the order is placed,
Yeah.
right? Once we get resulted, so with Inagene, what we do is we send off that order, it's placed. If Inagene then says, oh, received, we'll get a message back that says received, and we can take this to received because obviously the patient has to do a swab and send it off, right?
Yeah.
For orders such as supplements, when they're placed, until they're fulfilled, we wouldn't get anything back, right?
Yeah.
So upon fulfillment, we could place a status of fulfilled and or shipping. And you know how, what is that, Shop or whatever that is, that app that'll track your package and all that good stuff?
Yeah.
We could do something very similar to that in here.
Sure.
Now, again, this is doctor facing and not patient facing.
Right.
If we do the patient facing, that's where we would probably want to do this, right?
Yeah.
So once the order is resulted, you're going to come back and just like, let me just go back to this one here. Just like these, it'll be resulted, and then you would see any results to the test along with any other documentation that came from it.
Yeah.
And then
So-
also, if we did do supplements and they were shipped, we would have something that said fulfilled or something like that.
Yeah.
So the physician knows that the patient got their supplements.
So, if you think about Sherpa as the unified EHR, we can control what you see in the order screen. If you're traditional home health or, therapy practice or whatever, you wouldn't even see those things as orderable items.
Right.
And when Rob was on the order screen, he clicked right into what he wanted, but there's a search there as well. And you can search, the list is long and you can, start typing in. But the way we've structured it into kind of sections, like what type of order do you want? Do you want service, partner? And we can further break that out, functional medicine. So customers of Mona Lisa will be able to, of Sherpa Care will be able to, modularize and add these things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can see that. This is really clean, guys. I like it. I'm trying to think. I mean, I can definitely, I remember Mark, when was kind of describing some of this stuff. It's just kind of laying out how you guys, thinking of the world of medicine in this kind of blue, red, purple framework. And I can definitely see how this is like that purple in the sense that it's, as you said, Jeff, it's kind of working within traditional workflows within doctors, but you're able to then pull in all of this different, different kinds of modalities. Now,
Yes.
where do you guys see the market right now in terms of how this part of the health economy is developing? I mean, I'm sure that'll come up just naturally, but it's just something to kind of think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the pharmacogenomics part of this is something extremely interesting to primary care physicians.
Yeah.
But are they aware, and do their current EMRs even have connectivity to order those kind of labs? I think the answer is no. Those primary care physicians may not care about the athletic performance genes and stuff like that, but they really care about maybe the pharmacogenomics to know, do we have you on the right meds? So we see that as an opportunity because the current EHRs are not embracing change fast enough and innovation.
Right.
And then the other thing that we see is the price coming down for these tests. I think people still think they're $2,500
too expensive. Yeah, that's kind of the big, I think in terms of like, what's the opportunity, the fact that the testing is becoming more available. So it's like the the context is there, but to your point, if the systems aren't able to receive that, like if the
Right.
then there's not, it doesn't matter if the tests, like, so you're right that like the first thing that has to happen is the tests become more affordable. We're seeing that now. There needs to be the piping to be able to work. I'll say too that like the thing that I'm seeing a lot of like condition specific pharmacogenomic approaches, right? So autism being a really good a group that we've been keeping our eye on, that has working with kind of a platform coordinating care for complex cases, children with autism, and that part of that is pharmacogenomic data that is being constantly run against new studies that are coming out, so that as they're kind of dialing the meds in, they're kind of constantly getting updated on what meds may or may not be effective, right?
Yeah.
Or same thing for like cancer treatments too, like these kinds of things. But you guys are kind of coming in over the top of that, and it's like this framework of, you guys are ambivalent to in a good way, ambivalent to the conditions, or whatever. Like this, this solution can kind of fit in whatever you're managing. Yeah.
Well, that wraps up the guided tour of Sherpa Care. I really appreciate you joining us on this behind the screens look at a platform that we think is redefining how healthcare gets done. Although today's demo didn't cover Sherpa Care's capabilities in making patient onboarding or documentation and scheduling effortless, please understand Sherpa Care is built to handle the complexity of care across service lines and settings without adding complexity to your day. As care continues to move beyond the walls of hospitals and clinics and into homes and mobile units and virtual environments, providers need more than just digital paperwork. They need real workflow intelligence, and that's exactly what Sherpa Care delivers. If you're leading a care team, running a multi-site agency, or building a decentralized care model, Sherpa Care is your technology partner for what's next. To learn more or schedule your own custom demo, visit mlhealth.ai. And don't forget to subscribe to Revolutionizing Care wherever you get your podcast, because the future of healthcare isn't coming, it's already here. Until next time, keep innovating and keep caring.